Have you ever pondered how different our world would be if the British never invaded India? Let's take a moment to dive into the rich tapestry of history, starting from the dawn of the 17th century when the first threads of this narrative began to weave together. In the year 1600, the British East India Company was formed. It was no more than a group of merchants initially, but little did they know they were setting in motion a series of events that would forever change the course of history. The British slowly started to gain a foothold in India, entrenching themselves in the economic and political fabric of the subcontinent. Fast forward to the mid-18th century, the Battle of Plassey marked a significant turning point. This decisive victory for the British East India Company over the Nawab of Bengal and his French allies set the stage for the British to establish themselves as the dominant power in India. As the British rule strengthened, they introduced modern infrastructural developments. The railways, the telegraph, and the postal service all made their debut, connecting the vast and diverse landscape of India like never before. These innovations revolutionized communication and transportation, knitting together the disparate regions of India. Then came the year 1857, a year etched in the annals of Indian history. The First War of Independence, as it's known in India, or the Indian Rebellion as referred to by the British, was a major uprising against the British rule. It was a significant event, a precursor to the long struggle for independence that would follow. Finally, in the year 1947, after nearly 2 centuries of British rule, India gained her independence. The joy of freedom, however, came with the sorrow of partition, a deep wound that still resonates today. These events shaped India, but what if they never happened? As we delve deeper into this alternate reality, let's keep an open mind and explore the possibilities of a world where the British never set foot on Indian soil. Imagine an India untouched by British rule. Picture a vast subcontinent rich in its diversity with a myriad of princely states, each possessing its own unique culture, traditions, and governance. This is an India unmarked by the telltale signs of colonial rule, an India that developed organically, charting its own course through the annals of history. Without the British invasion, a scenario might have unfolded where India remained a collection of individual kingdoms. These princely states, under the rule of their respective monarchs, might have continued to exist autonomously, each contributing to the rich tapestry of Indian culture. The dynamics of these states, their interactions and alliances, could have shaped a unique geopolitical landscape, a far cry from the unified India we know today. On the other hand, the Mughal Empire, which was in decline at the time of the British arrival, could have found a way to re-establish its dominion. The Mughals, renowned for their architectural marvels and administrative prowess, might have ushered in a new age of prosperity and growth. The Taj Mahal, Humayun's tomb, and Fatehpur Sikri are just a few testaments to their grandeur. Just imagine, India could have been a land where the Mughal legacy continued to thrive, painting a picture of an India that's exotic, yet deeply rooted in its historical legacy. Now consider the technological advancements India could have made on its own. While it's easy to assume that without British intervention, India might have lagged behind, it's equally plausible that an uninvaded India could have been a powerhouse of indigenous innovation. India was, after all, the birthplace of zero, the decimal system, and advanced metallurgical techniques. So, who's to say that an independent India wouldn't have made its own strides in technology, science, and industry? The possibilities are endless and intriguing, and India, untouched by British rule, opens up a plethora of what-ifs and maybes, tantalizing us with thoughts of what could have been. A world with an uninvaded India is a world that we can only imagine, yet it is a world that invites us to explore the endless possibilities. The British invasion of India didn't just affect India, it had a global impact. Imagine a world where the British East India Company, the juggernaut of global trade in the 17th and 18th centuries, never set foot on Indian soil. A world where the opium trade with China, a significant part of the global economy of the time, remained a local affair, confined to the borders of the Middle Kingdom. Without the British control of India, the opium trade would likely have been vastly different, perhaps even negligible. This, in turn, could have altered the course of the infamous Opium Wars. And who knows? Without the profits from the opium trade, maybe the British Empire's global influence might have been somewhat lessened, altering the balance of power across the world. Now let's turn our attention towards the cultural impact. The British influence on India was profound, but the exchange wasn't one-sided. Indian culture, language, and cuisine also found their way into the heart of Britain. Britain's national dish today isn't fish and chips, but chicken tikka masala, a testament to the profound influence of Indian cuisine. Imagine a Britain untouched by the vibrant colors of Indian spices, the lyrical beauty of Indian languages, and the rich tapestry of Indian culture. Would Britain be as multicultural and diverse as it is today without this historical encounter? Perhaps not. Furthermore, the absence of British control in India could have affected global power dynamics in significant ways. Without India as its jewel, would the British Empire have held its dominant position on the world stage for as long as it did? Or could other European powers have gained the upper hand, leading to a different world order? In a world without British India, the ripple effects would have been felt far beyond the subcontinent's borders. The global trade routes, the cultural exchanges, the balance of power, all could have been vastly different. The world as we know it could have been quite different. Colonial rule left a lasting imprint on India. As we dive into this topic, it's crucial to understand the scale of influence the British had on this ancient civilization. One of the most evident impacts is the widespread use of the English language. While India is a cauldron of diverse languages, English has emerged as a common link, a legacy of the British rule. Today, English is not just a language of the elite, but also a medium of instruction in schools and universities, and a language of administration and judiciary. It has become a bridge connecting various linguistic groups within the country, and has also propelled India's prominence in the global IT and business sectors. Speaking of administration and judiciary, these systems in India are largely patterned on British models. The British established a centralized administration system which was unprecedented in India. This system, albeit with modifications, continues to be the backbone of the Indian administrative machinery. Similarly, the judicial system, with its emphasis on rule of law, also has its roots in British jurisprudence. The Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, and the Civil Procedure Code are all descendants of British legal codes. Education and social reforms, too, saw significant changes under British rule. The establishment of universities in cities like Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras in the mid-19th century marked the beginning of modern higher education in India. British rule also brought about social reforms aimed at eradicating practices such as sati and child marriage, while promoting widow remarriage and women's education. However, it's vital to remember that these changes came at a significant cost. Colonial rule was exploitative, draining India of its resources. The benefits that did emerge were often a byproduct of the colonial agenda rather than a benevolent intent. India, as we see it today, carries the legacy of its colonial past, a past that has shaped its present and will continue to influence its future. This legacy is a blend of advancements and adversities, progress and plunder, which makes the narrative of India's colonial history a complex and nuanced one. The British invasion of India was a significant event in world history. These words echo true as we reflect upon the diverse tapestry of our past. It's not just about the nation of India itself, but the ripple effects felt throughout the globe in every corner of every continent. Imagine, if you will, a world where India's cultural, economic, and political trajectory was not altered by British rule. The nation, rich with ancient traditions and vibrant customs, could have evolved uniquely with its own distinct global influence. The harmonious blend of indigenous culture and progressive thought could have presented an alternative model of development, one that is deeply rooted in heritage yet forward-looking. In the realm of economics, an uncolonized India might have been a powerhouse, leveraging its vast resources and manpower. The wealth of the nation would have been retained within its borders, potentially leading to an early industrial revolution powered by indigenous knowledge and techniques. The world economy might then have been sculpted differently, with India playing a more significant role. Politically, the Indian subcontinent might have seen a different map. The partition that led to the creation of India and Pakistan, a consequence of British divide and rule policy, may not have occurred. A united subcontinent could have been a formidable geopolitical entity, altering the dynamics of international politics. Now let's ponder the enduring legacy of British rule today. The English language, a global lingua franca, might not have been as widespread. The legal, educational, and administrative systems, heavily influenced by the British, would be distinctly Indian. possibly influencing global systems in different ways. While the British rule indeed left a profound impact, it's important to remember that India was never a blank canvas. It had a rich, complex history long before the British set foot on its shores. Yet the British rule significantly shaped the nation's trajectory, right down to the very fabric of its society. While we cannot change history, it's fascinating to imagine what could have been. A world where the British never invaded India is an intriguing thought experiment, a testament to the power of history and its impact on our present and future.